He killed over 100 men and never carried a gun until the moment came to pull the trigger. If you love stories about contract killers, mob justice, and the darkest corners of American crime history, make sure to follow because this one ends in Old Sparky. Brownsville, Brooklyn. September 4th, 1939, 11:00 p.m., a 1937. Plymouth sedan pulls to the curb on East 91st Street. 3 men sit inside. Harry Strauss in the back. Martin Goldstein behind the wheel. Abe Reles riding shotgun. The engine idles. No one speaks. Across the street, Irving Feinstein walks alone. His friends call him Puggy. He works the gambling rackets in territory that does not belong to him. Albert Anastasia gave the order 2 days ago. Louis Buchalter confirmed it yesterday. Tonight, Puggy Feinstein dies. Strauss exits the vehicle. He wears a wool coat despite the warm September night. His right pocket holds a length of clothesline. His left pocket holds an ice pick. He crosses the street in 6 strides. Feinstein turns. Recognition flashes across his face. Too late, Strauss closes the distance. The rope goes around Feinstein's neck. Strauss pulls. Feinstein claws at the rope. His fingernails draw blood from his own throat. Strauss does not loosen his grip. Goldstein and Reles cross the street. They drag Feinstein into the alley between 2 tenement buildings. Strauss maintains pressure on the rope. Feinstein's legs stop moving. His hands drop to his sides. Strauss holds the rope for 30 seconds more. Reles retrieves a can of gasoline from the Plymouth. They pour it over Feinstein's body. Goldstein strikes a match. The body ignites. The 3 men return to the Plymouth. Goldstein drives east toward the Midnight Rose candy store on Saratoga Avenue. The entire event takes 4 minutes. Harry Strauss was born Yehuda Ostrovsky on July 28, 1909, in the Russian Empire. His parents, Jacob and Yetta, brought the family to New York in 1914. They settled on the Lower East Side. Jacob worked for the Department of Street Cleaning. The family moved to the Bronx in 1916. In 1917, an industrial accident killed Jacob Strauss. His widow remarried. Harry dropped out of school at 15. By 1924, he was running errands for Brooklyn's Jewish gangs. By 1926, he was collecting debts. By 1928, he was killing people for money. The newspapers called him Pittsburgh Phil. No one knows why. He never lived in Pittsburgh. His associates called him Pep. He stood 5 feet 8 inches tall. He weighed 145 pounds. He dressed well. He smiled often. He enjoyed horse racing and spent afternoons at Jamaica racetrack placing bets. He lived with his mother in a modest apartment in Brownsville. He attended synagogue on high holidays. Neighbors considered him polite and quiet. Between 1928 and 1940, Harry Strauss murdered over 100 people. Some historians estimate the number at 500. He worked for Murder Incorporated, the enforcement arm of the National Crime Syndicate. The organization operated from the Midnight Rose candy store at the corner of Saratoga and Livonia Avenues. Rose Gold owned the store. She kept it open 24 hours. Gang members used the payphone in the back. Orders came through that phone. Names, addresses, deadlines. Strauss took contracts across the country: Detroit, Newark, Philadelphia, Miami, Los Angeles. He traveled by train. He scouted locations in advance. He never carried weapons during transit. He found tools at the murder site. His methods varied: shooting, stabbing, strangulation, drowning, live burial. Ice picks to the ear, ropes around the neck, meat cleavers to the skull. He adapted to circumstances. In Detroit, he strangled a Purple Gang member with piano wire found in the victim's own apartment. In Newark, he drowned a loan shark in the Passaic River, using the man's coat to hold him underwater. In Philadelphia, he beat a bookmaker to death with a tire iron from the victim's garage. He left few clues. Police rarely connected the murders. Different cities, different methods, no apparent motive beyond professional execution. Strauss was arrested 18 times between 1924 and 1940. Assault, larceny, drug possession, illegal gambling. Every case was dismissed or resulted in minimal fines. Witnesses disappeared. Evidence vanished. Prosecutors declined to pursue charges. The Brooklyn District Attorney's Office opened and closed 13 separate investigations into Strauss between 1932 and 1939. None advanced to trial. The New York Police Department maintained a thick file on Harry Strauss. Officers knew he killed for money. They could not prove it. The Feinstein murder was different. Abe Reles participated. Martin Goldstein participated. Both men were members of Murder Incorporated. Both men worked under Louis Buchalter's command. Buchalter controlled labor racketeering across New York's garment district. He ordered dozens of killings. The FBI wanted Buchalter. Thomas Dewey, district attorney of New York County, wanted Buchalter. The heat intensified. The organization felt pressure. Mistakes began. On February 2, 1940, Abe Reles walked into the Half Moon Hotel in Coney Island. 6 NYPD detectives accompanied him. He requested protection. He agreed to testify. He told prosecutors everything: names, dates, locations, methods. He described 70 murders. He identified the killers. He named the bosses. He drew diagrams of murder sites. He provided details only a participant would know. William O'Dwyer, Kings County District Attorney, built his case on Reles's testimony. On March 21, 1940, police arrested Harry Strauss at his mother's apartment. He was eating breakfast. He did not resist. At the precinct, he said nothing. Officers searched his apartment. They found $3,000 in cash hidden inside a radio. They found newspaper clippings about unsolved murders. They found a collection of ice picks wrapped in cloth. They found detailed maps of Brooklyn with locations marked in red ink. They found no weapons. O'Dwyer charged Strauss with first-degree murder in the death of Irving Feinstein. The trial began on September 9, 1940, in Kings County Court. Judge Franklin Taylor presided. Burton Turkus prosecuted. Strauss's defense attorney argued insufficient evidence. The prosecution called Abe Reles to the stand. Reles testified for 8 hours across 2 days. He described the planning meeting at Midnight Rose. He detailed the drive to East 91st Street. He identified Strauss as the man who strangled Feinstein. He explained the gasoline. He drew the alley layout on a courtroom blackboard. Defense attorneys attacked his credibility. They called him a liar. They called him a murderer seeking immunity. They noted his deal with prosecutors. Reles did not waver. He repeated the same details. He maintained eye contact with the jury. He pointed at Strauss and said, "That man right there put the rope around Puggy's neck and pulled until he stopped moving." Strauss sat motionless during Reles's testimony. He wore a dark suit and white shirt. He did not take notes. He did not confer with his attorneys. On the third day of trial, his behavior changed. He began laughing during witness testimony. He made animal noises. He crawled under the defense table. He refused to stand when the judge entered. Bailiffs removed him from the courtroom. A psychiatrist examined him. The psychiatrist reported Strauss was feigning insanity. The trial continued. Martin Goldstein faced trial alongside Strauss. The same charges, the same witness, the same evidence. Goldstein maintained composure. He testified in his own defense. He claimed he was home with his wife on the night of September 4, 1939. His wife confirmed the alibi. Prosecutors presented phone records showing calls from Goldstein's home to midnight. Rose at 10:47 p.m. and 11:23 p.m. on September 4. They presented witness testimony placing Goldstein's Plymouth sedan on East 91st Street. They presented gasoline purchase receipts from a service station near Goldstein's apartment dated September 4, 1939 at 9:15 p.m. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. On September 19, 1940, they returned guilty verdicts for both defendants. Judge Taylor sentenced both men to death. Strauss showed no reaction. Goldstein wept. Defense attorneys filed immediate appeals. The New York State Court of Appeals heard arguments on February 14, 1941. They upheld both convictions. The execution date was set for June 12, 1941. Strauss arrived at Sing Sing Correctional Facility on September 23, 1940. Guards assigned him to the condemned cells, a section housing men awaiting execution. He received cell number 12. The cell measured 7 feet by 9 feet. It contained a cot, a toilet, and a small table. One barred window faced north. Guards monitored condemned prisoners 24 hours daily. Strauss was permitted 1 hour of exercise per day in a small courtyard. He received no visitors except his attorney and a rabbi. On death row, Strauss continued his insanity performance. He refused meals. He threw food at guards. He sang loudly at night. He tore his clothing. He smeared feces on the cell walls. Prison psychiatrists examined him weekly. All concluded he was malingering. Warden William Snyder noted in official reports that Strauss displays rational behavior when he believes he is unobserved. Guards reported Strauss reading newspapers and writing letters in moments when he thought no one was watching. His attorney filed multiple appeals on grounds of mental incompetence. All were denied. The Court of Appeals reviewed psychiatric evaluations. They found clear evidence of deliberate simulation. On May 20, 1941, Governor Herbert Lehman declined to grant clemency. The execution would proceed as scheduled. The electric chair at Sing Sing was called Old Sparky. It was built in 1891. It sat in a small room adjacent to the death house. The chair itself was constructed of oak. Leather straps secured the condemned person's chest, arms, wrists, and ankles. 2 electrodes delivered the current. One attached to the head. One attached to the right leg. The voltage was set between 2,000 and 2,500 volts. The current was applied in 3 separate cycles. Each cycle lasted approximately 1 minute. Death usually occurred during the first cycle. On June 11, 1941, Strauss met with Rabbi Jacob Katz. The rabbi offered prayers. Strauss refused to speak. He lay on his cot facing the wall. The rabbi departed after 20 minutes. That evening, prison officials served the traditional final meal. Strauss ordered steak, French fries, and chocolate cake. He ate nothing. At 10:30 p.m., Warden Snyder entered cell 12. He read the death warrant aloud. Strauss remained silent. Goldstein occupied cell 14. He spent his final day writing letters to his family. He met with Rabbi Katz for 2 hours. He ate his final meal, roast chicken, mashed potatoes, and apple pie. He wrote a final letter to his mother. The letter was 6 pages long. He maintained his innocence. He told her he loved her. He asked her to care for his wife. At 11:00 p.m., guards entered cell 12. They told Strauss it was time. He stood without resistance. They shaved his head. They cut his right pant leg at the knee. They walked him to the execution chamber. 32 witnesses sat in rows facing the electric chair. Among them, Burton Turkis, members of the press, and representatives of the New York State Department of Corrections. Abe Reles was not present. He remained under protective custody at the Half Moon Hotel. Strauss entered the chamber at 11:03 p.m. He walked steadily. Guards guided him to the chair. He sat. They secured the straps. They attached the electrodes. Warden Snyder asked if Strauss had any final words. Strauss said nothing. At 11:06 p.m., the warden signaled the executioner. The current flowed. Strauss's body went rigid. His fists clenched. The first cycle lasted 57 seconds. The current stopped. Prison physician Dr. Charles Sweet checked for vital signs. The heart still beat. A second cycle was applied. 55 seconds. Dr. Sweet checked again. The heart stopped. At 11:09 p.m., Dr. Sweet pronounced Harry Strauss dead. Guards removed the body. Attendants wheeled it to the autopsy room. At 11:21 p.m., guards brought Martin Goldstein to the chamber. The witnesses remained seated. The process repeated. Goldstein's final words, "I am innocent." The current was applied at 11:24 p.m., 2 cycles. At 11:27 p.m., Dr. Sweet pronounced Goldstein dead. The witnesses filed out. The warden closed the death house. The bodies were prepared for burial. The New York Times reported both executions on page 15 of the June 13, 1941 edition. The headline read, "Two in murder ring are put to death." The article was 7 paragraphs. It noted both men were convicted of the Feinstein murder. It mentioned Murder Incorporated. It stated neither man showed emotion. It quoted Warden Snyder. Justice was carried out according to law. The article included no photographs. On page 3, a larger story covered Germany's invasion of the Soviet Union. The war in Europe dominated news coverage. The execution of 2 Brooklyn hitmen received minimal attention. Burton Turkis continued, prosecuting Murder Incorporated cases throughout 1941. He secured convictions against Frank Abandando and Harry Mayone for the murder of George Rudnick. Both men were executed on February 19, 1942. He prosecuted Mendy Weiss and Louis Capone for the murder of Joseph Rosen. Both were convicted. On March 4, 1944, Weiss and Capone were executed alongside Louis Buchalter. Buchalter became the first and only major mob boss executed by the state. Abe Reles remained under police protection at the Half Moon Hotel in Coney Island. 6 NYPD officers guarded him around the clock. He occupied room 623 on the 6th floor. On November 12, 1941, at approximately 7 a.m., Reles's body was found on the hotel roof. He had fallen from his window. The official cause of death was accidental. The police report stated Reles attempted to escape using bed sheets tied together. The sheets tore. He fell. Investigators found the torn bed sheets in his room. They found rope burns on the windowsill. The medical examiner confirmed the fall caused his death. Many questioned the official narrative. Reles was scheduled to testify against Albert Anastasia in 2 weeks. His testimony would have implicated Anastasia in 4 murders. Anastasia was a powerful figure in the Gambino crime family. He controlled the Brooklyn waterfront. He had connections throughout law enforcement. Rumors suggested police officers threw Reles from the window. Others claimed Anastasia's men accessed the hotel room. No evidence supported either theory. The investigation concluded accidental death. No charges were filed. The case was closed. William O'Dwyer resigned as Kings County District Attorney in 1942. He enlisted in the U.S. Army. He served as a brigadier general. After the war, he returned to New York. He ran for mayor in 1945. He won. He served 2 terms. In 1950, the Brooklyn grand jury investigated his handling of the Murder Incorporated cases. They questioned his decision not to prosecute Albert Anastasia. They noted Reles's suspicious death. They found grave questions about O'Dwyer's conduct. O'Dwyer resigned as mayor. He accepted an appointment as ambassador to Mexico. He never returned to law enforcement. Murder Incorporated ceased operations by 1942. Federal prosecutions dismantled the organization. The IRS pursued tax evasion cases against surviving leaders. State prosecutors secured multiple convictions. The National Crime Syndicate continued operating under different leadership. Contract killings continued. The centralized execution squad model ended. Individual families handled enforcement internally. The era of Murder Incorporated lasted 12 years. Prosecutors estimated the organization committed between 400 and 1,000 murders. Most victims were criminals. Some were witnesses. A few were innocent bystanders. Harry Strauss was buried at Beth David Cemetery in Elmont, New York on June 13, 1941. His mother attended. His sister Fanny attended. No other family members came. The service lasted 15 minutes. Rabbi Jacob Katz performed the burial rites. The grave marker reads, Harry Strauss, 1909-1941, no epitaph, no additional inscription. The grave is located in Section 18, Row 12, Plot 34. Few visitors come. The cemetery keeps no records of visitors. The grass is maintained. The marker remains upright. Martin Goldstein was buried at Mount Hebron Cemetery in Flushing, Queens, on June 13, 1941. His wife, Sarah, attended. His mother attended. His brother attended. The service lasted 30 minutes. Rabbi Samuel Cohen officiated. The grave marker reads, Martin Goldstein, beloved husband and son, 1905-1941. The grave is located in Section 7, Row 8, Plot 16. Fresh flowers appear occasionally. Cemetery records indicate Sarah Goldstein visited weekly until her death in 1967. In 1942, the New York State Legislature passed reforms to death penalty procedures. They mandated psychiatric evaluation within 30 days of sentencing. They required second opinions on competency determinations. They established review procedures for condemned prisoners claiming insanity. The reforms were nicknamed Strauss rules in legislative discussions. Official records do not use that name. The reforms remained in effect until New York abolished the death penalty in 2007. The Midnight Rose candy store closed in 1952. Rose Gold died in 1954. The building was demolished in 1968. A parking lot now occupies the location. The intersection of Saratoga and Livonia Avenues remains. A bodega operates on the corner. Local residents know the history. Some remember the old candy store. Most do not. Brownsville changed. The Jewish community largely departed. African American and Latino families moved in. Gang activity continued under different organizations. Violence remained common. Police presence increased. The neighborhood's reputation persisted. Historians debate Harry Strauss's true body count. No definitive records exist. Police files from multiple cities reference unsolved murders matching his methods. Detroit police linked him to 7 killings between 1932 and 1938. Newark police suspected him in 4 murders. Philadelphia investigators connected him to 5 homicides. Miami authorities believed he killed 3 men in Florida. Los Angeles detectives questioned him regarding 2 deaths in 1936. He was released each time due to insufficient evidence. Prosecutors who handled Murder Incorporated cases estimated Strauss personally killed between 100 and 150 people. Abe Reles testified Strauss bragged about surpassing 200 kills. No verification exists. What is verified, Harry Strauss was convicted of 1 murder. Irving Feinstein, September 4, 1939. East 91st Street, Brooklyn. Strangulation by rope. Body burned. Witnesses testified. Evidence was presented. A jury deliberated. They found him guilty. The verdict was appealed. The appeals were denied. The execution was scheduled. It was carried out. At 11:09 p.m. on June 12, 1941, Harry Strauss died in the electric chair at Sing Sing Correctional Facility. He was 31 years old. He never confessed. He never apologized. He maintained silence until the end. The current stopped his heart. The body was removed. The next condemned man was brought forward. Old Sparky continued its work through the night.